Welcome back to the final Rebel Edge of the week. My brother Pete Najarian will be joining me shortly, and we're going to cover all the ships that are being turned away, which means Iran, of course, has no money coming in at all. And we're going to talk about stocks. There's a couple big movers, and yes, once again, some unusual activity and sports on today's Rebel's Edge. That's Pete Najarian, folks. I'm John Najarian. And Pete, did you hear what the captain of the ship said to one of those Iranian oil tankers that tried to get through on the Straits of Hormuz with our blockade there? He told him, he held this book up and he said, "It's not an option. It's not an option." He said, "Your option is you'll be at the bottom of the sea if you try to go through here." And they said, I think we should take him at his word.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I love it. I'll tell you what, good old Donnie's doing a good job with that whole thing, John, because you know what? You're suffocating them this way, and they're turning away those ships. And you know what? That means, like you said, no money. That ain't so fun. And you know what? Congratulations. They're doing a great job with these guys, getting them turned around.
Yeah, and Pete, imagine that you've got these mullahs that are religious zealots, and they keep people in line by force with the IRGC, their Republican Guard or whatever that is, and because they pay them well. All of a sudden, you don't have money, and these guys are going, so let me see. We just see warthogs coming in and blowing us up every day, and you're not paying us, and you want us to do what? So, you know, some people can play 4D chess, but I wouldn't want to play it with the president, Pete.
No.
And by the way, what Iran did was pretty much just like Blazing Saddles, where the sheriff puts the gun to his own head. All right, nobody move. I'm going to block the strait. You hear me? I'm going to block it. All right. Good. Now that we've had our fun, we're going to focus in on the macro, which is how we always kick off these things, folks. So stronger than expected economic data because initial jobless claims came in better than expected. The lower the initial jobless claim, of course, the better. And the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index was 26.7 in April against a previous reading of 18.1. Seems like manufacturing's also making a comeback in America, Pete. What do you have for macro?
Well, I love that, and I think you're 100% spot on to point that out because nobody does. But the other thing, I'll just do one real quickie, which is the earnings. So you went through Q1, right? Q1, you know how many beats we had in Q1? 80%. You know where we're starting off with already as we've gotten through these financials, and now we're starting to get to the next level. And we got Netflix tonight and everything else. We'll see how that goes, but 80%. So I would say that for those that are pushing back on the economy or pushing back on whatever they want, they're wrong. They don't seem to understand it very well, and we are executing pretty well. So looking at what these numbers are, I'm very, very impressed, and it's been the banks primarily. Now we're going to start getting a little bit more of the rest of the economy, but last quarter, 80% beats, and it's so far so good in the Q2.
What about the VIX? We're still well under 20. What are you thinking about where the VIX is today, Pete?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we dipped under 18. We hit 1799. We've been hovering around somewhere, call it 80-60. You can see it right there. We did have a little bit of a blip back up towards 19. Big deal. And I would still say, you know what? It's not a big deal until you get really towards 20 again, and maybe even if you get over 20, are we sustained again over 20? And obviously that's something to keep a very close eye on. We all do, of course. And I've been watching this thing, but you can see this has been dipping, and it's pretty interesting. And I think it makes a lot of sense. When you look at the movement that's out there, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, even on a day like today, John, when you take a look and you see where things are, we're not even 0.5% of anything, of the NASDAQ, of the Dow, of the S&P. 0.25%, sure. So that volatility index, I think, is very, very accurate in showing where we are, and it makes a lot of sense that we're well under 20 right now.
Yep, agreed. Pete had a little prediction market. For a change, figured, okay, let's put baseball up there. So I went on Kalshi and I took a look. There's a game, of course, coming up. And basically the Los Angeles Angels with the best player in the world facing the New York Yankees with the second best player in the world, yep. Aaron Judge. Mm-hmm. Shohei Ohtani, he is the visiting player in New York. But look at that, 71-29, Pete. The Yankees are expected to take him. And Judge leads the major leagues, Pete, 7 home runs. 7. That's 2, by the way, folks. This is hand signals. That's 7. 7 home runs already, Pete. And we're only 16 days into April.
He is a freak. He's one of the best batters we have ever seen. And we're all lucky that we have him and Shoho at the same time, and we get that opportunity. And I don't know. I understand the fact that, okay, you're in New York, you're going to be playing there and everything else, and they've got that side of it. But it's interesting, and maybe it has something to do with pitching or whatever, but that seems like an odd thing. I would have said this is more of a 50-50 deal, but because I don't think the advantage of being home is that huge. But the advantage really comes up with who's our pitcher today? Who's our pitcher tomorrow? That's where I think it goes. So that's most likely why the odds are so strong for New York right now.
Well, we're going to do a little small cap spotlight again, folks. And we're going to cover a stock that Mark and I and Pete have talked about. It's our favorite small cap quantum stock. We are paid advisors to this company. We also own a lot of shares in this stock. So this is not a pump or dump. I haven't sold one share of QNC, which is Quantum Emotion, QNC. We've told you about it. We told the Rebel Investors Club about it. And the Rebel Investors Club, by the way, make sure you check that out if you have time. But the stock was up as much as 8%. Bang. That's pretty nice. And why is it up? Well, basically, they announced a mutually exclusive strategic partnership with Crown Technologies. And a lot of you might say Crown Technologies, and that's with a K, Crown with a K. You might say, well, what exactly is that? Well, first of all, Quantum Emotion is a random number generator that basically can secure data centers as well as wallets, hardware wallets, and so forth for crypto and digital assets. So these guys have a deal with Nakamoto, which that's the company and parent company of Bitcoin Magazine, as well as the Bitcoin conference that I'll be at with Mark next week in Las Vegas. So the fact that they've been designated to provide their quantum security technology to Crown, and then of course Crown's got this 6-year strategic arrangement with Nakamoto, means they are part of one of the biggest crypto players out there, Nakamoto. So I think this is a fabulous opportunity, Pete. As always, even though Mark and I and Pete might have stakes in the company, you should do your homework before you buy into anything you hear from me or Pete beyond just this one. As far as Netflix or any of the other stocks that we might cover, make sure you guys do a little bit of your homework, make sure it's an appropriate risk for you and so forth. But we've sat with the founder, Francis Bedito, and we think that what he's doing and what they've done now with Crown is a pretty big deal. And so take a look at what that stock is doing and see if QNC is a stock that you should consider for owning for the long term, because that's my view. All right, Pete, let's dive into some CDNA. CDNA, they struck a definitive agreement to sell their lab products company business, if you will, to Eurobioscientific. And because of that, CDNA is making a nice pop to the upside, shedding that global IVD kit segment and moving on to where they think they're going to be a little bit bigger player. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, 52-week highs today, John. That says it all. What they're trying to do here and what they're executing, I think they will be executing. They want to get back to what they really are, which is they've got high growth, they've got high margins in the precision side of medicine. And this way they're able to off this lab products business, John, for $170 million, gives them a little bit of cash. That is what the deal that they've made. So looking at that, it makes a whole lot of sense. The stock hit 52-week highs. It's long away from the $100 level that it's been. That goes back all time, is back in June of 2021. But nonetheless, I think that they wanted to have the focus. They've got the focus now on exactly what they want, and they've got a pretty nice cash deal that comes out of that. So makes a lot of sense. Stock's up 28% today. So I would say that's a statement in and of itself. And I think that looking into the future, if they are able to do what they're talking about, which is they're going to be focusing on that high growth, on those margins being better, this is a company that's probably not done. And given the fact of where the all-time high is, there's a lot of room, I'd say, between now and where they were on those highs a couple of years ago.
Well, let's hit one of our favorite stocks, Pete, Oracle. And why are we going to be talking about Oracle today? Well, Oracle shares jumped in the pre-market today because Amazon Web Services, or AWS, expanded their deal to work on a multi-cloud networking project. As you might imagine, neither of these two companies work on small deals, Pete. Both of them are both Larry Ellison and the folks that run Amazon Web Services. They don't think small. They're thinking big time. And we saw unusual activity in Oracle, which is up over $7 right now as we're speaking, Pete. We saw unusual activity in this name and just thought we'd share it with you because these calls run all the way out for another month into the future, the end of the next month, in fact. So on the 14th, 2 days ago, they came in and bought 5,000 of those 29th of May expiring 210 calls with the stock at 167, call it 168 even if you want. Well, where is it today? It's up about $7 and then some. And those calls moving up. And if you're somebody like Pete and me, you probably bought something more like an at the money rather than something that's so far above the market. But either way, you're being rewarded bigly today, Pete, by that move to the upside.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Larry Ellison does an amazing job, I think, in what they do and how they do it. And I know that they still got a long ways to get back up to the highs that they've hit, but it's amazing. And the deal that they made here, this partnership that they've got is incredible. The acceleration of AI modernization is what they're talking about here with AWS. They've also got that deal, John, with Bloom Energy, and you and I talked about that one just the other day as well. So they are doing a lot of things right once again. And, you know, it was about the cloud before. It's still about the cloud, but the AI side of things as well. I mean, I think that Larry Ellison is a guy who was a little bit frustrated, but I think now he's feeling a little bit better, getting a little bit more back to his step. And he's going to be somebody that's going to be very, very excited over the next couple of months, because I think this partnership, along with some of the others that they've got, really can elevate this stock back up to there. And get back up to the 52-week highs that we've seen previously. So this is just the beginning, in my opinion. I think there's a lot more to be coming.
And Pete, for all the haters out there, and I put out a tweet this morning, Pete, asking the haters to please send me some hate, because nothing motivates me more than hate. Nothing motivated Michael Jordan or Tom Brady more than hate. Now, I'm not putting myself in their category, of course, folks. But what I am saying is a lot of us get motivated when people push back against us. And sure. Oracle, Pete, was 134 on the 9th of April. Today's the 16th. Now, I know most of you can do the math. That's 7 days ago. It was 134. Today it's through 177. So you tell me if you want to listen to us when we're talking about unusual activity and where we get in and how it works and so forth, but feel free, stream some hate at me. It'll only make me more aggressively right about all of our predictions. All right, let's hit AEHR. This is AEHR Test Systems. They announced a big deal, Pete, a record $41 million follow-on production order for their hyperscale AI customer. Now, Pete and I have covered this one before. We said, hey, they got one and it was, I think, 20 million, Pete. And then they got a second one that was like another 27 million. Now that same customer has said, you know what? I need more, $41 million production order. That's pretty damn good. And that's why the stock's up 15%.
Yeah. And now they're predicting, or they're putting out there that their total booking, John, is now in north of 92 million. So they've done a lot of things right. They continue to do things right. This is a name we talked about really not that long ago. I think that we talked about this maybe even last week. But you know what? There's huge volume in there today. 52-week highs are there today. Stock last I looked was up 12%. It's probably up higher than that right now. But they are doing a lot of things right. And it's a statement about them, I would say. You know, we're talking about high power AI accelerators and so forth. And they are absolutely going to be crushing it. And obviously, right place, right time. And they've got a great customer as a part of this whole deal. So very, very impressed to see how fast this thing is really flipping and going up to the upside. I think the expectations wouldn't have been this high. And yet, this is where we are. Like you talked about the $41 million deal. That's a big deal. It's the biggest ever for them. So it just shows you they're on the right spot and in the right spot, and they are definitely squeezing everything out of it they can.
Pete, it was 32.5 on the 27th of March. So that's not that long ago, folks. How'd you like to see a stock nearly triple because now it's $84? I understand a triple would be over $97, but it's much more than doubled in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's the kind of turnaround you're seeing in many of these tech names, in these hyperscaler or AI names, the data centers and so forth. That's what you're seeing. And if you were somebody that listened to the folks that kept telling you, oh, AI, it's hyped, it's too much, or, you know, nobody's really going to earn their way into these multiples. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
All right. Last one, Pete. This one's kind of sad because I just flew him this weekend because, you know, my brother went running away with the jet. So I couldn't fly. So I'm stuck at Augusta. I caught a friend's jet up to Augusta. I'm stuck at Augusta without a jet. So what do, Pete? I take a shuttle to Atlanta and I took Spirit Airlines. So when you see, you know, FLYYQ, because that's the symbol, sadly, the Q, because, you know, these guys are in bankruptcy for the second time in a year. They could be forced into liquidation because there's Chapter 7 and Chapter 11. And one of those two means you just have to sell everything. You're liquidating versus basically regrouping, if you will. And Pete, it's a sad thing because these guys, I must say, like I don't want to fly Spirit when I fly, but they had a big seat up front. They have 2 rows of big seats up front on their planes that give you lots of room. They don't recline, but they give you lots of room. And if they do go away, Pete, it's going to be rougher for people that need a last minute fare like I just did.
Especially when prices just keep rising for everybody out there. I was listening to people talking about it today and just talking about, you know, trying to fly from here to there. They were talking about going to Denver, Colorado for specific reasons and so forth, and how those numbers have jumped. You know, it used to be a $300 trip from wherever, and now it's like $450, $500. So, yeah, that along with the discounters themselves, you know, just the competition that they've all got there. But, you know, it certainly threw a little bit of gas on this fire, John, when the price of crude, which means the price of jet fuel as well, goes up the way it is. I mean, we know that is the second largest thing that they have to deal with, that, you know, when you're in the airline industry. So it's a big deal. It's unfortunate. The timing was really bad for what's going on, you know, right now with the war and so forth. But we'll see. I mean, they've managed so far. I don't know how well they're going to be able to manage this one, John. And until we hear anything about the word liquidity, we won't really know much. So, but we do know they're in trouble, and there's no doubt about that. That's too bad. And I'll get the gas for the jet for you. It's all taken care of later.
Yeah, make sure you top it off.
Yeah,
he always gives it to me, folks. Full.
I'll top it off.
Says, "Oh, John, it's cheaper down there in Florida and in Puerto Rico, so you can gas it up."
Yeah.
What would you do if your brother was saying that? All right, Pete, let's take a look at what's going on with sports, because there's a new world record. And it's a record that many of us, quite frankly, didn't know if we'd see broken in our lifetimes, because Usain Bolt was insane. And when he would just go record after record after record, you got to see this young kid, because he's only 19 years old, Pete. 19 years old. Here he is at the U.S. Track and Field Championships. Let's see what he does. Gout is his name.
So
G-O-U-T.
goes into this moment to prepare. And again, even higher than this morning, just to loosen himself up. He'll go through his rituals.
Accent too, right?
His coach is right where we can see her at the moment, Di Shepherd. If I stretch my arm out, I could touch her.
And watch how he comes out of the blocks.
Settling Murphy and 5 in the form of his life.
These kind of guys.
In the form of his
The
life.
start crucial here for Gout. Away, so he's 3 from the left, got out pretty well. Hughes got out slightly better. Law, Murphy's had a big first 100. Gout's got work to do. Hughes leads him into the straight. Gout gets up alongside of him. Murphy tries to get up alongside Gout. Gout's in front. He's coming away now from Murphy. Can he be as quick as a sliding? Oh, incredible. Oh. 19.68. Where's the win? The win's legal. He has absolutely done.
The win is legal.
He's done it at 18 years of age. The world
I think he's from the
will be
Sudan.
shaking.
I looked him up. I think he's from the Sudan. Been living here now.
What an interesting thing, man. Just to see somebody with that kind of speed. Here's the thing that I find so interesting, and you gotta love the kid. I mean, I'm impressed that there was the guy in number 2 and number 3. They weren't that far away from the guy. I mean, so I mean, between the 3 of them, it must have been the fastest threesome ever. I mean, absolutely incredible.
I think it was the first time, Pete, that 2 people under 20 in the same race. So pretty amazing. I mean, you're right. Those other runners, they deserve a lot of credit, of course. But this kid's something special at 19 to be able to put up numbers like that.
Yeah, unreal. So we'll hit on that for a second first. So you've got Gout. There he is. We just watched him. Gout sprints this 200 meters like you've never seen before, because you've never seen it before, because it's a record, right? Absolutely impressive as hell. How about a 16-year-old kid in the 100-meter, John? Dylan Mitchell, 9.96 in the 100-meter at 16 years old, setting another world record. How in the hell and what is going on with these young guys that have this kind of speed? I mean, it's scary how fast these guys are and how young they are. And are they peaking? I don't think so. I think if you're 16, you probably peaked low 20s. So we might see more numbers, John, coming across for these guys. Absolutely amazing. You look at it and you go, how could they possibly go any faster? I don't know, but they do. By the way, I got this other guy, John, Cooper Lekinskos. He is a U18 guy, right? 800 meter. Well, he's decided to set a record too at 142.27. This is an 800 meter. I mean, so you've got the 100, you've got the 200, you've got the 800 meter, and you and I were talking off earlier, but the 110 meters for a guy that broke underneath 13, which doesn't really happen, but it did. Absolutely amazing there. By the way, one more guy, Jackson Cartwell, a 73-foot 5-inch shot put. I mean, unbelievable how these guys are setting these records, and it's happening right now, right in front of us. I mean, absolutely incredible. The athleticism, the strength, the obvious dedication that they've got to what they're doing to be able to do what they do. Absolutely extraordinary. I mean, truly, absolutely extraordinary. All right. How about we jump to the NFL?
Let's do it.
So one of the biggest storylines that I've seen, and it just came out yesterday, and I'm going to say it's BS, but there's the possibility they've been contacted, the LA Raiders, or excuse me, I always say that, the Las Vegas Raiders. You got Tom Brady there, and that's why I think there's no way this is going to happen. People are very interested in that first pick, John, not first round, first pick of the first round. And some calls have come in. Nothing's really come of it because my guess would be the Raiders are like, look, don't waste your time. And if Tom Brady has as much pull as it appears that he does, I think Tom himself probably took that call from whatever team that it was and just said, look, it ain't happening. We're going to have two Heisman Trophy winners in our backfield. One's the running back and the other is the quarterback. And I think that they really could make an incredible run in that flip. And you and I talked about that just the other day. But Mendoza's sitting out there, and he's probably like, hey, you guys going to trade me? And I don't think there's one chance that happens, John. But it's pretty interesting. And I'll throw out one more of a guy who I think, and we were talking about this the other day because we're only a week away, a guy who is starting to move up a little bit higher and a little bit higher is Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. 6'6", 276-pound, 20-year-old kid who is one of the top 4 edge rushers in the draft. Now, right now, he's a little bit further down, but I would say that under the right circumstances, this guy is going to be somewhere in the top 20. It could get pretty damn interesting to see where this guy lands because, there are some great ones in front of him, but I don't know, John. I like the fact that when you've got a guy who's an edge rusher who also is big enough to maybe play inside, especially on a pass play maybe, when you're 6'6", 276 pounds, I would say that that's pretty decent size. Not for the running game, but against the pass, that guy could be real scary in the middle of the football field. There's no doubt about that. But what do you think about that? And do you think this kid – I think he's going to keep on going a little bit higher and a little bit higher when the draft gets closer each and every day, which it is. But Mendoza, they ain't trading him, I don't think, John. Do you?
No. In fact, their GM, Pete, with the Raiders, a guy named John Spytek, I'm pretty sure that I picked up on my ham radio. I was able to pick up Tom Brady's cell phone, and he said, if you trade our pick, just keep walking out the door because you're gone. Because there is no way that they're going to trade this guy. And you already said it, Pete, and we've agreed with what the Raiders have accumulated. Yes, they have Kirk Cousins, and they got him cheap. But this guy is a generational talent that could step right in and play now at 6'5", 235 pounds. Mendoza, I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there is zero chance that they trade that pick, Pete. And as to the edge rusher, that's a big edge rusher, man. I mean, that's even bigger than our friend Max Crosby, which hopefully Pete and I will be out with Max and with Vaughn Miller and with Cam Jordan out at the Pass Rush Summit. I think now they're calling it the SAC Summit, Pete, out in Las Vegas in July. But Max is a big guy. Max Crosby, this guy's bigger, and he's only 20 years old. Wow.
It's unbelievable. And you and I have talked about this draft this year, John. There's a lot of guys who are 20 now. Now, maybe they turn 21 in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But 20-year-old kids, I'll call them, right? Because if you got to be 21 to drink, I would say that you're a kid until you're 21, and then you're an adult. So these guys are still kids. And it's just absolutely amazing how far they've gone so far in their life or whatever, and how much money they're going to be having. And I hope like heck these guys do a good job of holding on to that money. And I think more and more of these guys are doing that. It might be also an interesting year just to tie back the financial world into it for 1 second. I wonder if any of these guys, including Mendoza, are considering taking any Bitcoin, John, when they get into their contract, because that is something guys have done, and some of these guys have absolutely crushed it. So you almost wonder if their agents, their financial advisor, or whoever is going to be able to be risk on or not. But that's something that we'll find out about once we get into the season and all.
Yep. Agreed. Well, I think, Pete, that it's been a crazy week already. We're not even through the week. It's Thursday, but that's our last day of broadcasting, folks, each week. But when you look at a new record set for the S&P, and you're looking at all four major indices, Dow up 113 points, S&P up 27, NASDAQ up 137, and the Russell up 5 points, with the VIX here under 19 at 1860, Pete. I think it's a pretty big turn in the market. And just keep your discipline, though, folks, because it's always smart to take a little winning off the table. You don't want to let it all ride. So that'd be advice from Pete and me, two guys with a combined 70 some odd years of trading. Take a little off. But Pete, we're not back till Monday, but what time are we back Monday?
1 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be here. We're going to be ready for this whole thing. And if people missed something here and they want a little more in depth, go take a look at our News Nation hit from yesterday, because that was a lot of fun with our guy Connell.
Connell McShane, love him.
Yep.
And he was funny, as he always is, but always entertaining and smart too.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.